Alright everyone, so I thought we'd have a little bit of a chat, really, about what goes into Kimball schema and really what's a fact, what's a dimension, and how do we go about joining the whole things together and why would we want to do it. So let's cut an hour, have a look at the spreadsheet first, right, and then we'll have a look deeper and see if we can work it all out and make some sense of it. Yeah? Champion. Alright, so here we are in Excel. Okay, this is the spreadsheet that I was talking about that we're using for some of these demos of this, just as we're trying to work out really what goes into the Kimball schema, what's a fact, what's a dimension, and really, what are we trying to get to with all this? Okay, so this is kind of the sort of thing that you'll see a lot, right? And if you think about it, and this is the bit you have to really kind of wrap your head around as well, is a lot of what we've stored, there's a reason for it. So most of the fields that are in our spreadsheet would go into forming that invoice. So it's that record of a sale. So you'd be used to kind of seeing that. And that's the behind the scenes piece that would go in. So behind the scenes in your sales system, you'll have a customer where you'll pick a customer, maybe put a few keywords in or start typing the name in and up it'll come. Now behind the scenes, there's some matchup going on with that. Likewise for a product. So you might put in a product ID and it'll fill out the rest of the information about that product and then you can work it all out from there. So that's what's happening in your systems behind the scenes. So how do we use that for a reporting side? What's the point? How do we get that to work? Bearing in mind that for most of the time, for us initially, when you first kind of get into Power BI, and I see this a lot in the work I do, first time with a customer, well, I've got these Excel spreadsheets, this is what we do, got these, got those, right? And you're kind of working through there. I've even seen it where, well, we've got the feeds from the database and we're combining them using VLOOKUPs, right? So flatbed files, yeah? Big, large, flat files is what people use, right? We call them that because there's no layering to it, they're flat, okay? I like to think of a dimensional model as like three-dimensional, that there's like dimensions to it, right? That's how my mind works. You might not be the same. So if we cut over, right, so I can actually draw, because my touch screen's been really weird today, right, to here, I've just taken the first few rows of it, right, what we can see is we've got some nice little bits of information here that would be useful to keep. So things like, well, product ID, or postal code, okay, customer ID, right, those are three categories, three core things, piece of information that are going to wrap around and really that are going to draw big chunks of that data together, yeah? So a postal code is going to lock everything down to a very specific area. A product ID is a specific product that will have attributes to it. Likewise, a customer is going to be a specific entity that we have attributes for, some of which will be in this report, some of which won't. You know, they might have a credit balance, for example. Wouldn't be in this report, but it would be something that would exist in our organization. So because of all this, we can start to kind of piece together what a model would look like and really what goes into a Kimball schema or an analytical data model. So what it means is that you end up with something a bit of a hierarchy, don't you? Because you do end up with something different. So if we think about our invoice that we've got, yeah, you've kind of got the idea, haven't you, that you're going to have a customer, haven't we? So we've got a customer, okay? That's really what it starts with, isn't it? Right? And then that customer is going to order products, aren't they? So you end up with products as well. So we've got a customer and we've got products, and those go together. So customer one has bought these products. And the issue that you'll have, the reality is that you're going to have many customers buy many products. Okay, So the same product is going to be bought by many customers, and a customer is going to buy, hopefully, more than one product. So you end up with what's called a many-to-many. And that doesn't really work very well when you're trying to do relationships and work out what's gone on. Okay? Add to that the complexity that a customer might not buy just one of a specific product, they might buy 2 or 3 of the same product in the same order. So your invoice, which we're all used to seeing again, how do we do that? So the way we tackle that is by having a fact. Okay, and the fact is the order. Okay, so we will have a link from there. So one customer will go through to be in the order, and then there might well be many products going into it, but that's okay because each product will link to one line in the product table. And then from here, we can start to piece together more. So the net result is we end up very quickly with this concept of a fact and a dimension. Okay, so we've got the dimensions are there and the fact is at the top. Okay, and you can piece these together further and further and further. You can grow what you need. So in essence, if we think back to what's going to be in our order and what's going to be in our product, and we cut on over to Power BI Desktop and see what it looks like, I think you'll see, it makes perfect sense. So we're back here, Power BI Desktop, where we were before. Okay, we've kind of got everything pieced together and we can start to link those together. But those links, if we remember, are supported by coming through here. So where we've got the idea of an order and we had the customer and we had the product, those were the facts of what it was we were going through and what we were doing. So very quickly, very easily, we've been able to piece something together and have it make sense to her that at these 3 tables at least level, we can follow the logic. And what we're trying to do is piece together what happens. Now, 2 terms that I'm going to pass to you, right, for you to remember in terms of actually really what needs to go into these. What you're going to see, okay, is IDs here. So we've got a customer ID here, and we've got a customer ID here, and that's how the relationship is handled. And that's really what goes in to make a relationship. Now, what those are is in this table, in the dimension side, it is a primary key, and in the side it relates to, in the fact side, it's a foreign key. Okay? And in general, you do not want primary keys in your fact table. The terms to remember are primary key and foreign key. Okay? So your primary key is going to be a unique identifier that will always link back to that specific row in a dimension. And then that is used to join items from the fact table. The net result of this, okay, if we have a look back at our tables, and if we pick our customer table to start with, so we can see a customer table, we've really got its name, segment, customer ID, and we've got this postal code that we use as the join to connect it to a geography table so that we actually have all the address information there. In terms of the realities of this, if you had street level, you might need to put information in there, but then at some point, the wider context, you might well drop out to a global table, right, for geography. Again, it depends on what you've got in your database. Okay? So we can see text descriptive information, the geography dimension, again, text descriptive information plus a primary key. Product, text descriptive information and a hierarchy, so category and subcategory. Okay, are we getting this? So what do you think we're going to see in the order table? When we have a look at the orders, very specific, something you should really note, order tables tend to be much more foreign key based. So we've got foreign keys and specifics. So we've got the order number, which is primary and foreign key in the context of this. So we'll say foreign key for the sake of this discussion. Order date, which is of course a foreign key to the calendar table. The ship date, another foreign key to another table. The sales, which is, this is the factual amount of money that that line item was. The quantity, the discount if applicable, and the profit that we made from it. We've then got a ship mode, which technically we haven't separated out here because there is only 2 options really for them. Or 3, 4, okay, 4. So we've got 4 options here. Do you separate those out? And you could, because there could be a cost, there could be other things around it. So it's a foreign key, but we're not using it as such because we haven't expanded that dimension. We've got customer ID, foreign key to the customer, and product ID, foreign key to the customer. So we've just got foreign keys and specifics in there. Numbers is really all we've got, is kind of what you need to think. That's what a fact table should be. Shouldn't be descriptors in there. So that was a really short dump again as to what goes in to forming your facts and your dimensions. What is the Kimball schema in practice? So I hope you've understood. This is about saying, how can we be efficient in storing the data? We don't want to store stuff in our database more than once. So our analytical model will only store the bulk of the information about the entities or the dimensions once. The foreign key will be in the fact table and that will be echoed multiple times, but the core row that could be 50 columns wide will only ever be stored once. Okay? So I hope we'll keep coming back. Yeah, hope you're enjoying the series. Speak to you next week. Cheers. Ta-da.